Awesome. So we'll just jump right into it. So by the end of today's workshop, we will, we have four objectives we want to achieve. The first is that we want to understand the significance of a well-crafted CV. The second is we want to see what are the essential components of an effective CV. The third is we want to discover some of the do's and don'ts of CV writing, things you should do to improve your CV, things you should avoid, and things that will make your CV look bad. And lastly, we will just touch briefly on how to stand out in a crowded job market. So I am hoping that in the next 1 hour, we're all going to be able to learn quite a lot and leave this workshop with quite a lot of knowledge. So before then, let me just introduce myself briefly. My name is Isaac Sessi. I am an entrepreneur. I'm an engineer, the founder of Sessi Technologies, which develops technology solutions for farmers and agribusinesses. I have also founded several other businesses in the past, Invent Electronics, Wires and Bytes, Musica, and so on and so forth. I have worked in education, I have worked in finance, and I have worked in retail. And currently, my work is mainly in agri-tech. So in the process of being an entrepreneur, I've had to hire quite a number of people, which meant that I've had to review quite a number of CVs. Now, in the process of reviewing these CVs, in the last couple of years alone, I've reviewed more than 1,000 CVs. I come across a lot of things that I think are really impeding the ability of people to impeding people's ability to get a job or even to move even to the next stage of the job application process. And having been someone that has been quite passionate about personal development over a long time, I have really in the past tried to help a lot of people build on their personal development and personal career growth by creating lots of resources around CV, around setting yourself up professionally. Now, to take that work further, I founded Sessi Consult to provide personal development services. And one of the things that we do is we help people write great CVs. And so, it's under Sessi Consult that I'm putting together this workshop to essentially help people learn how to write good CVs. So with that introduction, I think we'll just jump right into today's session and then take it from there. So the first thing we want to talk about is understanding the significance of a well-crafted CV. And now, basically what that means is, why should you have a good CV? Like, why should your CV be great? The answer to that may sound pretty obvious, but, we still have like so many people. In fact, the fact that we even got almost 700 people signing up for this workshop means that people still feel like they need a lot of insight, a lot of help when it comes to crafting a good CV. So we will try and understand why it's important to have a well-crafted CV. First of all, what is a CV? A CV is essentially a document that summarizes your relevant qualifications, your skills, your work experiences, and your achievements, which you tailor specifically for a job application. So basically you have a document that talks about who you are as a person, what you have done, your professional qualifications, your educational background, your achievements, and that is a CV. So that being said, why do you need a great CV? Why is your CV important? And this is it. That's your CV. If you are applying for a job, your CV is your first impression to potential employers. It is your chance to make a good first impression, because when you are applying for a job, the recruiter does not know you. The recruiter has not seen you before. It is your CV that they come into contact first, and it is just that CV they look at, mostly the CV they look at to determine whether they even give you an interview or they even move you to the next stage of the process. Now, if you were going to meet a very important person, let's say that, you know, I don't know, Barack Obama or someone was in town and some way, somehow he happened to send you an invite. If you were going to meet him, I bet you're going to like try and look as good as possible, like shave your hair, look good, wear something nice, just to present yourself, be presentable so that you can make a good first impression. And that is how your CV is when it comes to um, that is the same thing that happens when it comes to your CV. Because if you're looking for a job, you're meeting people, or your CV is the thing that is representing you in the sight of the recruiter or that employer that you're hoping to be working with. And so if for something as important of this as this, why would you not want to put in the efforts to make it look good? So it's the CV is your gateway to job opportunities, and it can make or break your chances, which is why it is a very important piece of documents to have. So a compelling CV should, first of all, showcase your skills and your experiences. Secondly, it should highlight your qualifications and your achievements. And best of all, it has to demonstrate how you are a good fit for the role and the company. And so if your CV doesn't capture all of these essential elements, then it means that you still have quite a lot of work to do in making it look good. So we are going to look at all of the different elements that make up a great CV, look at them one by one and see how you can improve these individual elements so that in the end you have a very compelling CV that tells a very good story about you and gives you one foot in the door of that new job you're looking for. So let's look at the essential components of an effective CV. We're going to be looking at 7 things or 7 components of a well-structured CV. The first is the personal information, which is essentially your name and your contact details. The second is the professional summary. Some people call it career objective. Other people call it personal statement, but that all of that means the same thing. And that is essentially the elevator pitch that summarizes your skills and your goals. Then we also have the work experience, which highlights the relevant roles you've been in and the achievements and accomplishments you have accomplished within those roles. Then we look at your education, which is the degrees, the certifications that you've had, along with coursework that is relevant to whatever role that you're applying for. Then we'll look at your skills, the skills section, which are either technical skills you have, soft skills you have that are relevant to the job you're applying for. Then we look at the achievements and awards, which are any recognitions and accomplishments, both personally, professionally, and in any other areas that you have, any other awards or recognitions that you have received. And lastly, we're going to look at references. So these are the 7 elements that I believe that, if you figure out how to craft them very well within your CV, you are going to have a strong and compelling CV. So we're going to take a look at them one by one and then see how to improve each of these sessions. The first session we're going to be looking at is the personal information section, which is the first, what is at the top of the CV, what you see when you take a look at the CV first. And for the personal information, what you want to do is that you want to keep it short, you want to keep it simple, you want to have a professional email address. You want to avoid funny email addresses. In the last session, I mentioned how one of the participants actually had an email which was, very funny. And the thing with those kind of emails is that, look, like it just creates a certain kind of impression in the sight of an employer that you are not serious, because you have to remember that for any job opportunity, there are literally hundreds of people that are applying for that, which means that you have to be like at the very top of your game. And something as small as an unprofessional looking CV may be something that disqualifies you, right? And so you should try to like use a professional email address. A good rule of thumb is to just use a combination of maybe your first name and your last name at gmail.com or any other like modern email provider. We still have people that have Hotmail email addresses. Look, it's 2023. Please ditch the Hotmail. Now, aside from the email address, you want to be able to state your contact information very clearly. Make sure it is valid. I mean, I can't count the number of CVs I have reviewed where the contact information is actually like you're trying to call the person to arrange an interview, and the number is not going through. The address is wrong. The email is not even going through. And that's like, like what's the point of even applying for a job if your basic contact information is not even correct? So please make sure that these are correct. Now, when we go to the do's and don'ts, I'll talk about this, but let me still mention it anyway. There are quite a lot of people or a lot of CVs I've reviewed where people put in unnecessary and irrelevant information like their date of birth, their gender, their religion, their marital status, their relationship status, their hometown. Like this is absolutely unnecessary. That is unnecessary information, and all you are doing is setting yourself up for discrimination. Because if you meet someone who doesn't like people from that, if your let's say that your recruiter for some reason doesn't like people from your hometown, then like you're just setting yourself up for what, like discrimination. You get disqualified on the basis of someone not liking your hometown, which really doesn't make sense. But again, you want to be able to keep only the most relevant information when it comes to your personal information. So that is it for the personal information. If you do this, you're going to have a good, concise, short, sweet personal information section, and then you're ready to move on to the next. So the next section we're going to be looking at is the professional summary, which others call a personal statement, others call a career objective, whatever you want to call it. But as I mentioned, this is like an elevator pitch, a two to three sentence pitch that basically talks about, who you are as a person, what your skills are, what your achievements are, and what your enthusiasm for the role you're applying for is, and the value that you bring to the company that you're applying to. So let's just read this personal statement that I have screenshotted. So this person says that as an accomplished financial professional, I have a solid foundation from my cashiering and accounting experience. With a track record of accurate cash handling and exceptional customer service, I understand financial operations. As an accountant in a school, I ensured compliance, streamlined reporting processes, and optimized budgets, reducing expenses while maintaining quality. My combined expertise in cashiering and accounting, alongside my dedication to precision and strategic financial management, makes me an asset to any team. So this person essentially in that 2-3 sentences is showcasing their skills, what they are good at, what they have achieved previously, and their enthusiasm for the role they are applying for. In fact, what I would even do to make this better is to tailor this professional summary to the company I'm applying to. So let's say that if I am what do you call it, applying to a job at Ceci Technologies, for instance, I will put there that I this and this and so and so and so are the skills I bring on board to help Ceci Technologies, and I can go find out what Ceci Technologies' mission is, right? And then go and say, okay, this is how I can help Ceci Technologies empower farmers and fulfill its mission of empowering farmers. And so when I read this as a recruiter, I know that, oh, this person did their homework. They checked out the company, they checked out the role they were applying for, and they tailored their CV to match the role. And so the thing that you are probably going to hear me say over and over again over the course of this workshop is that your CV must be tailored to the role that you are applying for, which means that there is no one size fits all when it comes to a CV, right? You have to have like a CV, your CV for any role you want to apply for, you want to take your CV and tweak it to fit that role that you're applying for. So again, relevance. So that is it for the professional summary. You want to be concise, tailored for the job, and lead with strong adjectives. So this person says that they are an accomplished financial professional. So that sort of adds a bit of oomph to their experience, right? You want to be able to like stand out strong and like make your CV stand out as much as it potentially can. So you can use very good adjectives that really portray the work you're doing. As I mentioned, highlight your skills and showcase your achievements. That has been done. So we'll move on to the next stage, which is the work experience stage. And over here, what you want to do is essentially listing your work experiences that are most relevant to the role that you are applying for. And the best way to do this is to list this in reverse chronological order. And what I mean by reverse chronological order is that your most recent experience should come first, followed by the next most recent, followed by the next most recent. And what you want to put there is the experiences that are best suited for the role that you're applying for. A lot of people, after several years of being in the workforce and working in several places, they want to put all of their experience in their CV. And so they end up having very long 4, 5, 6, 7. I've even seen an 8-page CV before. Felt like a research paper. And but the thing is that just because you have an experience or you've worked somewhere doesn't mean you need to put it inside of your CV. You want to focus on what is most relevant to the thing that you are applying for. And so even when you have decided that, okay, these are the job experiences or the work experiences I want to put in my CV, you want to, for each experience, list a couple of accomplishments in short bullet points under the CV, so that which speak to like what you're able to achieve during your time working with that particular enterprise. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they just list their roles or their responsibilities. Look, like everybody has roles and responsibilities. If you go to a company and you are asked to do stuff, you can put that on your CV, right? But really, no one cares about the role and responsibility as much as they care about what you were able to achieve or what you're able to accomplish. Because if I am an employer and I'm looking to hire someone, I'm looking at, okay, how can this person help me achieve our goals, right? How can this person help us achieve our goals? And one way we measure that is, what impacts or what things were you able to accomplish in your most recent role? So that is how we, gauge whether you be able to add value to our company or not. So that is why it's important to focus on your accomplishments and your achievements rather than on just your roles or the responsibilities that you had during the time that you're working there. And one last thing when it comes to job experience is to quantify your accomplishments if possible. So if you were the sales manager and you increased sales by 15% over a 3-month period, that is quantifiable. You put it over there so that it's very clear and very specific, the achievements you're able to accomplish over there. There might be some things that are not quantifiable, and that is fine. But those that are quantifiable, you try and quantify them as much as possible. So if you look at this person's work experience, we have over here, he's the founder and CEO of Kofi Enterprises Limited, where part of his role involves leading the team and developing and overseeing the strategic execution of strategic goals. He's raised over $100,000 in funding through grants and accelerators. They've bootstrapped to over 100,000 revenue and so on and so forth. So you see over there, like short bullet points that are, demonstrating accomplishments and are quantifying those accomplishments. And that is the way you want to go as when it comes to the work experience. So following on from the work experience, we move on to your educational background. And when you come to the educational background, what you want to do is you want to list your most recent educational endeavors. So if you did great and you had a good grade, maybe second class upper, a good GPA, etc., you probably might want to put that over there. But if you didn't do that great, then there's no need to like weaken your CV by putting in like poor grades. But then when you want to put there is your most recent education and any relevant professional training that you've had. So for instance, if you're applying for a digital marketing role and then maybe you took a course with Google's digital skills for Africa, that could be like a good, and then you completed and you got the certification, that could be a good professional training that you can include. When including your education, you want to include, the highest educational qualification first. And then I've seen people include all of their education, even as far back as primary school. I mean, primary school is so far removed from your current professional life that is not relevant in your CV. I would say that do not go below high school, especially if you have like any other higher education, maybe like a BSc or a diploma or a master's, those that are like more solid than a high school diploma. So probably do not go below high school. And so if there are any coursework that you did that is relevant to the role that you are applying for, then you can include those inside of the educational background section. So that is it for the educational background. We will the next section I want to talk about is the achievement and award section, where if you've achieved anything of relevance, either academic wise, corporate wise, promotions, maybe employee of the month, employee of the year, you got some awards in school, anything that you feel like kind of like makes your application stand out, you can put all of them there. So as you can see over here, this person has quite a bunch of awards that goes to strengthen their CV, and so you put all of that there, and it's especially the ones that are most relevant. For some people who are like overachievers, they might be tempted to put everything they have ever achieved there, but sometimes it's just good. Quality is better than quantity. You just pick and choose the ones that you think are best fit for the thing that you are applying for. So next is the skills and interests section. And over here, what you probably want to do is to list any relevant technical skills that you have, soft skills that you have that are applicable to the role that you're applying for. And if you have, in cases where you think that you can qualify your proficiency in a certain skill, you can put that over there. Maybe you are like really good at Python programming or something, you can put that over there. If you have highly transferable skills that you think that you can add, that is a good addition, because employers are always looking to add new people who can, add more value to the team. So if there are other skills that you have that you think that this would be valuable in organizations, you can add that. Now over here, one of the mistakes people make is that they just put all sorts of things. Last week I looked at a CV where the person's list of just skills alone was like half a page. And then if you looked at the skills, they weren't really strong, like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, and then just very weak things. And the person felt like, okay, if I go for quantity and I put a lot of things, it portrays me as it portrays me well. But no, that's like actually the opposite. It's better to have like a few good quality skills than a lot of plenty skills that are not very of very high quality. Now, if you even put Microsoft Office on your CV, it's like, employers are more surprised if you don't know Microsoft Office than if you know Microsoft Office. So, doesn't make Microsoft Office that much of a big deal anymore. So if you have built some other really good skills that you think that will add a bit more to your will boost your CV and then make it look better, then you should do that. So last but not the least, let's talk about references. Now, references are one of those things where some people like to add them, some people don't like to add them. There isn't really a rule for whether you should add referees or not. I personally don't put referees on my CV. But then if you choose to put references, you want to be able to put references that are relevant again to the role you are applying to. And I keep using the word relevant because I can't overemphasize enough how important it is for you to tailor your CV to the role that you are applying for. So if you have a bunch of referees who can all speak to different parts of your work experience or your educational qualifications or your skills, it's good to have diversity in the kind of reference that you put over there. Before you put referees on your CV, make sure that first of all they are aware, they have given you their permission for you to use them as a referee. Secondly, that they are aware that you're putting their names over there and they are aware that you're applying for jobs, because there is nothing more embarrassing for an employer to call your referee and the referee will be wondering where they know you, especially if it's from school and you graduated from school 15 years ago and they were your professor back then and they don't even remember who you are now. And now your referee calls them and they don't know who you are. It's very embarrassing for you. So first you need to make sure that you're on good terms with them. They are able to speak to your experiences, and then they have consented. Also, you need to be able to ensure that you are putting their full details over there so that your prospective employer can contact them. So if you see here, there are two referees that this person has provided, both at his university. This may not necessarily be the most diverse references you can have, because they are both like academic referees. But then if you had like other referees in other places, that could sort of boost your credibility a bit more, as far as all of the different people who can speak to your skills are concerned. So yeah, that is it for referees. So at this point, we will see how all of this comes together in an actual CV, and I'm going to be sharing my CV with you. So what I have here is the CV I currently use. It's a little outdated, but I haven't updated it in a while. But this is close to what is actually reflective of my current professional experience now. So I have the personal details section. You have my name, my email address, my phone number, and then my physical address, and then that is it. No additional like gibberish. Then I have a professional summary here which says that accomplished business leader with strong technical background, dedicated to harnessing the power of technology to create impactful solutions, blah, 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 blah. Now, this is not a CV that is tailored specifically for any job application, but because I'm not applying for any job at the moment, but then if I was applying for something else, I would have tailored my CV to fit that role. For instance, I worked at a company called Wave Mobile Money. And when I was applying there, I redid my entire CV to kind of like focus on the things that Wave was looking for. So I have my experiences here in reverse chronological order, starting with Sesi Technologies, then this one, and then that one. I talk about the different, like my achievements across, over the time that I have been working there. Same for the rest of my experiences. Put them in bullets so that they are easily readable, because like reviewers spend very little time reviewing a particular CV. So if your CV is not like legible and readable, a lot of important information gets glossed through. So for education, I have my master's, I have my undergrad, and before I did my master's, I used to have my undergrad and my high school, but after doing my master's, the high school is not relevant anymore, so I took it off. There are a few sections that there are a couple of sections I have here that I didn't really talk about. So I have a couple of volunteer activities. I used to have a section for projects. Those were things that I did not put there. For students who may not have a lot of experience, a lot of work experience, some of the things you can put in your CV to kind of like add a bit more volume to the CV is to put any maybe projects you have done, volunteer activities you have done, maybe some leadership experience that you have. Those are things that internships you have done. Internships can go in your work experience section, and that all counts towards like work experience. So those are other things or other sections that you may have, which may give you a bit more volume and speak to what you are doing professionally. But given that I have a bit more experience than like an average student or graduate, I choose to put only the things that I think are most important. And then I put a bunch of my achievements over there and then some skills and interests. Like I mentioned, I don't do the whole referee thing. It's just by choice. It's not necessarily a rule. But yeah, so that is like how a good CV should look like, capturing all of the key elements that are necessary to communicate your experience and your skills and your achievements, and making it relevant to the thing that you're applying for. So in addition to this presentation that I am currently presenting from, there is this, in the past, I wrote a one-page CV guide that will be part of the resources that I will be sharing with everyone who registered after the workshop. And so you'll be able to get all of these resources that you can refer to later in crafting your own CV. So that being said, let's move forward. We will look at a few do's and don'ts when it comes to CV writing. There are some things you should do, there are some things you shouldn't do. We'll just touch on a few of these so that you are aware when you are crafting your own CV. Now let's look at the do's. The first and the thing I have been talking about all throughout the session is that you should tailor your CV for every job. You should tailor your CV for every job. It's very important because people, recruiters want to see that you are a good fit for the role. And the way you're able to communicate that is if your CV is tailored for the job. So usually what I would recommend is that you can have like what I would call like a master CV, which contains all of your experiences, all of your qualifications, your educational background, etc. And then for every role, you might want to duplicate that and then just remove all the unnecessary stuff and keep only what is relevant for that particular role in question. So it's very important to tailor your CV for each job application. The second is that you need to proofread your CV thoroughly. Check for spelling, grammar, formatting errors. Man, I can't count the number of CVs I have seen where things are misspelled, grammar is bad, and all of that. And what that portrays is that you do not pay attention to detail. If your own CV, you cannot take the time to make sure that it doesn't have spelling mistakes and all of that. It says you don't pay attention to detail. I mean, how can I tell that if you come and work for me, you're going to pay attention to detail, you're going to do the things you are supposed to do, and you are not going to be sending emails to clients and be making mistakes in the emails, right? So all of these are like signals, right? That kind of speaks to what you may like, that kind of speaks to your person, right? It says that, okay, you don't care enough about your CV to make sure that it's accurate and there are no spelling and grammar errors. What shows that you care enough about the job. So those are things that could really get you to not be considered, especially if they are like you are applying for a role where there's like a lot of competition. So these are things that you should definitely do. Now, the third is to highlight your achievements. And I already spoke about this, that instead of just saying, oh, I was responsible for this, I was responsible for that, I was responsible for sending emails to clients, talk about what you're able to achieve. Because like I mentioned, anybody can be responsible for things, but it doesn't speak to what you're able to achieve or what you're able to bring on board. Because anybody that any company is hiring, they are hiring that person because they believe that the person brings something valuable on board to the team. And so the way you can you can highlight the value, is to bring or is to showcase the achievements and the results that you have accomplished in previous roles that you have been in. Number 4 is to ensure that your contact information is accurate and up to date. Like, we need to be able to contact you. So if your contact information is wrong, I mean, how do people contact you, right? So you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So there are people who the first time, like since they wrote their CV, they have not updated it again. They have changed their number, they've changed their email, they've moved, etc., but they've not updated their CV. How can we find you if we need to be able to speak with you? So make sure that your contact information is accurate. Number 5 is to incorporate relevant keywords from the job description. So nowadays, modern HR systems use what they call an ATS. ATS is applicant tracking system, I think, where they have like basically software that really reads through your CV and then tries to see if it contains certain keywords. And if it doesn't contain those keywords, your CV probably does not make it to the next stage. And so for every job you apply for, there's probably going to be like a job description, and other information that you look on to apply for the job. So you want to be able to look at some of these keywords and extract some of the keywords from the job descriptions, and then use that in your CV. So for instance, I am opening, we have a jobs board. One of the projects we started is we started putting together like, we started curating available job opportunities and then putting them on an Excel sheet. And then we have over 10,000 people that have actually seen those jobs so far, and a few people have even gotten hired. But then one of the jobs on that job board is something I'm looking at now, which is M-Pharma, a company called M-Pharma that is looking to hire what they call pharmacy services associates. And then part of the job description says that M-Pharma is looking for a responsible and trustworthy professional with exceptionally high standards, work standards, to join our team as pharmacy services associate for quality RX. This role entails day-to-day management of QRX pharmacies. So then it goes on to list a bunch of key responsibilities. And then the ideal candidate, it says the ideal candidate should have an entrepreneurial spirit with a passion for M-Pharma's mission to increase the accessibility and affordability of high quality medicines, right? So you are looking at all these keywords: entrepreneurial spirit, a passion for M-Pharma's mission. You probably need to go look at, okay, what is M-Pharma's mission? And how do you incorporate M-Pharma's mission in your personal statement, right? You take a look at some of the words within M-Pharma's mission and put them in your personal statement. And then just to ensure that, you are tailoring or you are incorporating some of these keywords, because whatever applicant tracking system they are using is going to scan for some of these keywords. And if your applications don't contain some of these keywords, they are going to be rejected, right? So yeah, like it's important to incorporate some relevant keywords inside of your from the job description inside of your CV, so that it is more tailored towards the application. Number 6, the last but not the least, you keep your CV concise and targeted to 1 or 2 pages. The shorter, the better. Up until recently, I had a 1-page CV. Now it's like almost 2 pages. But look, even Elon Musk has a 1-page CV. Like, do you have more work experience than Elon Musk? And so why do you have a 7-page CV? In fact, back in 2017, when I was still I was working in KNUST in one of the IT lab. A first-year student came to print their CV for an internship, and the CV was 7 pages. And I was wondering, like, why does a first-year student have a 7-page CV? What is on the CV? And then I took a look, and it's just a lot of frivolous information that really doesn't matter. And so, the shorter, the better, because ain't nobody got time to be reading through 7 pages of irrelevant stuff. So keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it targeted, max 2 pages, so that it's easy to go through. And you realize that if you are forced to constrain your CV to a certain length, you realize that it forces you to think about what is important and what is not important, right? And then in so doing, you only ensure that your strongest experiences and the strongest things are on your CV. Otherwise, if you have too long of a CV, you end up diluting even the good stuff with things that are not so good, and then you reduce your chances of moving on to the next stage. So those are the do's when it comes to CV writing. Let's look at some of the don'ts. For don'ts, the first one I want to talk about is don't exaggerate or lie. It's interesting how, like, I find it interesting that some applicants actually lie on their CV. Like, they feel like they're going to get away with it. Like 99% of the time, you don't get away because the CV is just the first step, right? The last job I actually went through like 4 stages of, like, the hiring process involved like 5 stages, right? So as you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, things you put on your CV, they get probed. And so if you lie on your CV, you are not honest with your skills and your qualifications, you will get found out, and it will be very embarrassing to you, come across as a dishonest person. And like, that company is never hiring you because you have lied. Like, if you can lie on your CV, what else can you lie about? So please, please, please keep it honest when it comes to your skills and qualifications. Don't exaggerate, don't lie. I already talked about the second thing. Avoid irrelevant information: marital status, date of birth, religion, hometown, gender, photos, hobbies, etc. Avoid them. I've already seen in the chat someone posted something saying that, okay, what if the template you are using already has them and you cannot remove them? I mean, there are like 1,001 templates out there. Like, if you put some of these information there, you just set yourself up to be discriminated against on basis of your age or your hometown or your gender or even your looks. So just avoid that altogether. Third, don't overcrowd your CV. Avoid long paragraphs and excessive information. Don't think that the more you write, the better your CV looks. Keep it concise. The reason why we even bullet points are encouraged is that it makes your CV easily readable, easily scannable. Because, like I mentioned, recruiters don't spend a lot of time evaluating your CV before making a decision. I think there was some statistics out there which said that a recruiter spends less than 30 seconds reviewing a CV. I'm not sure what the exact amount of time is, but it's not much. So the more you overcrowd your CV, the higher the chances of all the relevant and important stuff getting lost in all of those paragraphs. So don't overcrowd your CV. Number 4, avoid stylish, unreadable fonts, like too much keche. Like, just stick to the basics. They are proven professional fonts which work. Arial, Times New Roman. I use a different font for my own, but it's still, professional enough. Just keep it simple, keep it professional. Your CV is not like graphic design. It's not what do you call it? A canvas that you have to paint on top of. So just keep it simple. Also, don't neglect formatting. Ensure that you have professional formatting, consistent formatting throughout your CV. And so if you look at mine, you can see that it's like you have this section, that section, everything looks logical. Like you see the rows, you see the columns, everything looks in line. And then it just makes it easy to read. And so if you can come up with a way to format your CV properly, that is very helpful. Do that. If it becomes necessary, use a professional template. Just don't use one that asks you for a lot of unnecessary information. Anyway, and the last is not really like a strong don't, but it's one of those gray areas where there are certain phrases that have become very cliche when it comes to writing CVs. Something like, you are hardworking or you're a team player. It's like I mean, there isn't anything necessarily wrong with doing that, but it's just lost the effect, right? Because everybody does it, everybody uses it. And so, it's just one of those like cringe things that people do on their CVs. And it doesn't really strengthen your CV in any way, right? And so instead of using generic phrases like hardworking and team player, show that in your experience, show that in the other sections of your CV. For instance, if you led a team or you were part of a team that achieved something remarkable, it's better to state that in your experience rather than just say you are a team player, right? And it's going to have a better effect. It's going to have a stronger effect if you outline how you were hardworking and how you were a team player rather than just stating it inside of this thing, the application. Sorry, instead of the CV. So those are the don'ts that I want to share with you today. So that brings us to the last section. I think we still are doing good time. We'll be able to take quite a number of questions. And so just move on to the last session. So I want to talk about standing out in a crowded job market. I think that this is something that is especially relevant for the demographic that we have here. Of the 600 plus people that registered, most of them were either just graduates and either just graduating or are between like 20 to 29. And this is the age where like you are looking for jobs and you're getting all of the rejections and you are sending your CVs to places and like it's getting rejected and you're like, frustrated. And so I just feel like it's relevant to talk about how you can stand out in the crowded job market. And the truth of the matter is the job market, especially when it comes to employees or prospective employees, it's like a pyramid, okay? You have some really top, highly sought after people at the top of the pyramid, and then it comes down, and then you have, most people at the base of the pyramid. Where the people at the base of the pyramid, the thing which is interesting is that the people who are at the top of the pyramid, it is employers and companies that are fighting with each other to get those top employees, right? While at the bottom of the pyramid, it's just there are so many people that it's like the side is turned in favor of employers, and employers are, can decide what they want to do. So how do you move from just being at the base of the pyramid where everybody is to getting higher up the pyramid where, you can be more attractive, and then you can be more attractive towards to prospective employers. So I want to share 6 ways that you can do that. So I see a bunch of questions inside of the chat. I hopefully will have enough time to be able to address as many of them as we can. We will also allow for you to unmute and be able to ask questions as well. So I will just conclude this briefly and then we will take the questions. The first thing to, stand well in a crowded job market, in fact, the basic thing is to have a really good CV cover letter that highlights your skills, experience, accomplishments. And, by being part of this workshop, I believe that is covered. After this workshop, everybody can leave here and can go and create a really good CV for themselves. That's like the low-hanging fruit, the basic thing. If for nothing at all, have a good CV. If for nothing at all, have a good CV. Now, the next is that you need to be able to build relevant experience, right? Relevant experience can come through internships, it can come through part-time jobs, it can come to volunteer work. And this is tailored most especially towards like students and people that are just starting out their professional, recent graduates and people that are just starting out their professional journey. I think one of the arguments that recent graduates make is that, every job you apply for, they're asking for 5 years experience. And so how are you supposed to get those 5 years experience, right? Now, for entry-level role, it will surprise you to know that recruiters do not necessarily want you to have 5 years experience if you are coming out of school, but at least one of the ways you can build some of that experience is through like internships you do while in school, part-time jobs you do, volunteer work you do. These are all things that can add to building relevant experience, especially if you know the industry you want to work in right from school. You can build your relevant experience in that area. So for instance, if you want to be a software engineer or you want to go into tech right from school, you start doing internships with software companies, or you start building projects yourself, attending hackathons, and just doing things in that area to just build your experience in that industry that you want to be in. So that is number two. Number three is to network actively and aggressively. And people say that, oh, Ghana, dear, even if you want job, it is who you know. And the truth is, it's the truth, and there's nothing wrong with that. Look, let me tell you that if I have a role that is open, before I put out a job application, I look within my internal network and see if I know someone who might be a good fit. Because the person I know that I can vouch for, I will always take him over the uncertainty of putting out applications out there and then, like bringing in people that you know nothing about, right? Um, because as an employer, like hiring takes time, it takes effort, takes money. You can bring in, there's the risk of bringing in someone who will impress you with the interviews and have a good CV and not be able to perform. And then the person has wasted my time, wasted my money, and I have to start the process again. And so before I go through all of that, I would want to start with people within my network, see who I know or whom I know who knows someone who might be a good fit for the role. And that is where networking comes in. And so if you know the industry that you want to be in, it's important to network actively, be very deliberate about building the right networks with the right people who matter. So the way to build networks is to attend industry events, career fairs, workshops, seminars, things that will get you to meet people in the industry that you work in so that you can, build those connections. And that is where opportunity comes from, because you might get a job because you know someone who knows someone who is looking for someone, and you get recommended. And that is how I got to work in Wave. That is how I got to work in that's how I even got to work at KNUST Department of Agricultural Engineering. It was all through recommendations from people that were in my network. And so if you really want to be able to stand out, you need to be very, very deliberate about networking. And so that is the third point. Fourth point, invest in continuous learning and building new practical skills. Unfortunately, we are in a space where our educational system is currently such that people that are coming out of school don't have much to show for outside of their degree. And that is very, very sad, because then one of the things you realize when you leave school is that employers don't really care that much about your degree. Even if you have the degree, they consider your degree useless because they have to retrain you right from, like, as if you didn't know anything for you to be able to be relevant in the company. But then what people care about is skills. Do you have practical skills that you can bring on board that you can help? And so if you are, whether you are in school or not, it's not too late to start building real practical skills that will be relevant in the industry that you want to work in. And the way you can do that is to take online courses, attend workshops, pursue certifications. Right now, there's so many sites that you can, learn and take good courses for free. There is Coursera, there is Udemy, and there is even Google. There are lots of courses and certifications that you can get without having to pay a lot. In fact, there is even Skillshare. Those are all critical, practical skills that can set you above other people fighting for the same positions in the job market. Number five, there is mentoring. It's important to get guidance and mentoring to help you make the right career decisions and to help you avoid certain pitfalls that you may fall into if you were going alone. I certainly have made certain poor career decisions that I wouldn't have made if I had started, mentoring after I had gotten mentoring early. But now, I am wiser. I have a set of mentors who, even as at now, There are mentors I have like standing monthly meetings with who give me advice with for my business, with my career, etc. And those are people that help to provide guidance, and they can really help to put you in a place where and make the right decisions to put you on top when it comes to the job market. So the last but not the least, I say is to build like a personal brand and an online presence. And personally, this is one of the biggest things that has really propelled my career. The decision to really put myself out there, talk about my work, talk about the things that are passionate to me, build a brand as someone who is like into agri-tech and is using technology to solve problems in the field of agriculture. Right now in Ghana, if they bring a list of people that are in tech, in agri-tech, my name will almost always be on that list because I have spent the time to build that brand online by talking about the work we do, the work I'm doing, the work my company is doing, the impacts we are making, etc. Even if you are not running your own company, I have friends who are like, they are employed. Like I have a friend who is like a really good um, mechanical engineer. He does a lot of CAD work. He posts his CAD drawings. I have a friend who is also like a beginner software engineer. He puts his projects out there, and then he's building that brand, right? He's building that brand out there. And the thing that happens is that, you feel like, oh, I put stuff out there, I don't really get reactions, I don't really get comments, but people are taking notice. An opportunity will come and someone will remember that, oh, this guy, he does this thing, oh, let's contact him and see. And a lot of opportunities I have gotten have come through that space. I got into the World Food Program Innovation Accelerator simply because the person who was recruiting for the accelerator found a post I shared on LinkedIn. And I bypassed the whole application process and I got straight into the accelerator. In the end, my company got like 5-figure USD funding, which was like really good, right? And so all of this came because I put myself out there. I built a personal brand. And the thing is that every recruiter now is looking at your LinkedIn. They are looking at what you're putting out there. And then they like to see these signals. This person is bold. This person is assertive. This person is like building expertise, like he's an authority in this area. People like it, right? People like it. Employers like it. So build a brand, put yourself out there. Like, don't be shy. Like, what is there to be shy about? After all, you post on TikTok, you post on Facebook, you post on wherever. So why not invest that time into building your brand? So yeah, I think that if you do these 6 things, you will begin to set yourself apart and then move yourself higher up the pyramid and then, stand out in the job market. So, yeah, on this note, this concludes our presentation. I hope that this has been insightful. I hope that you've learned a lot. Now, before we take questions, I just want to talk about something briefly. As I mentioned to you, part of the work we do at Ceci Consult is that we provide personal development and career building services to people. One of the things we do is we help them, put together like amazing CVs, and then almost always, ends up working out for them. They get in their role, they're applying for, and all of that. So that being said, I have shared a lot of information over the last 1 hour. You are getting the slides, you are getting the presentation, you are getting the ebook. All of that is going to be, I'm going to be sending that to you for free. However, if you feel like maybe I trust the experts to help me put together a really good CV because I know that this is a very important document that I want to invest in, and I don't feel like I've gotten to the point where I can do it myself, and you want us to help you with your CV, we're more than happy to do that. Between now and 31st August, we're providing a 30% discount across all of our CV services. So that is only available to the people that are participating in this workshop. Now, on top of giving you that discount, we also, like I mentioned, we have the job board that we have created where we work some of the people, some of the companies whose openings are on our job board are people we have direct relationship with. Just last week, one of the people we recommended got a job and has started working. So if you're looking for a job, we share your CV to the HR people of these companies. They have your CV on file, and if there's a role that fits your profile, they share that with you. Additionally, we will notify you anytime we make an update on our job board. You get notified by email. And these are all things that you get because you are part of this workshop. And so if this is something that appeals to you, we have the link here. If you click on this link, which I'm going to be posting in the chat, just a second, it is going to take you to a Google form, which basically highlights the services I am talking about. So if you want us to help you with that, you just fill out this form. We have three main CV writing services that we provide. One is the CV review services, where we offer a comprehensive review of your existing CV. The second is we can enhance your existing CV and then transform it into like a really good CV for you, depending on the role you're applying for. And then, from our the data we collected during registration, we realized that more than 30% of people said that they didn't have CVs. So if that is you and you want us to help you with a CV, we can create one for you from scratch. All we take is just a bit of information, and this is our pricing, very affordable, and we are giving you a 30% discount between now and 31st August. And so, yeah, if this is something that is that appeals to you, you can check out the link I have posted. It's also going to be in the presentation I share, and then we can help you out with that.